I heard that Jesus said it was nearly impossible for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven. I didn't hear it directly, but I heard it from some buddies of mine, some other, sinners, tax collectors like me. But then they told me he also said, with God, things are possible that for human beings are impossible. So I was thinking about that one day, counting my money, and I decided I got to see who this man is. So I heard that he was going to be coming to Jericho. Now, you see, here's the thing about me. I'm the chief tax collector for Jericho. That makes me like one of the richest guys in town. And, well, I'm not ashamed to show it. I've got the biggest house. I throw the best parties. And I want to tell you something. I've got more camels in my stable than the rest of the block put together. So yeah, I'm a rich guy. That's the way my life goes. You know, I'm happy about it. So what can Jesus really have against me? So anyway, the thing is, the people don't really like me. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, I collect a little bit more than I should. You know, an extra 10%, extra 20%, depending on what I think they can pay. And, you know, they don't even welcome me to the synagogue anymore. They don't even want me to be there worshiping with them. So fine, I'm not going to go. Why should I go? They don't want me there. I'm not going to go. I'm not all that religious anyway. But I wanted, you know how it is sometimes when you're asleep? Well, actually, you wake up from being asleep. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, which, by the way, when you don't have a clock, is hard to tell, but you can sort of see where the moon is. Let's say it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't sleep, right? And so I'm laying there in bed saying, Zacchaeus, is this what your life is really all about? You can't sleep because you ate too much. You can't sleep because you drank too much. The camels all are out there making a lot of noise. What's the deal here, Zacchaeus? Is this what your life is really all about? So when I heard that this Jesus was coming to Jericho, I said, I gotta see what this guy is all about. I want to see what he looks like. I want to hear his voice. And so I came here, and before I got up in this tree to see, before that I was down on the ground, and you see I was down here, and Jesus was coming from over there, and there's this crowd, and I'm a short guy. One little gripe. You people teach your children to call me a wee little man. Really? The best you can do? So Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming, and I can't see. I can hardly jump anymore. So I'm up and I'm looking, and I can't see him. So I see this tree. Now, you see that tree, it doesn't look like it should be so hard to climb a sycamore tree. The branches are low. But look, have you ever tried to climb a tree? You got this big robe on, you got sandals on, but you know what? If you want to see Jesus, you got to be willing to let your robe get torn. You got to be willing to get a little mud on your sandals. And so I climb this sycamore tree. And I see Jesus. There he is. All these people crowding around him. Now I'm going to tell you something else I heard that the religious establishment is not so happy about this Jesus. In fact, I heard Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and I heard there's a plot to get him, to finally put him out, maybe even murder him. I don't know all the details, but I heard there's something big going down pretty soon. I wonder if he knows. Maybe I'll tell him if I see him and we talk. So he's coming, right? He's coming along. Here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes. He's looking up here. He's looking at me. What is he looking at me for? You know my name? Like, you want me? You want me to come down where you are? And we're going to my house? We had a big party last night, and I don't know how everything is, like, cleaned up, and it's kind of a, well, all right. All right. And so we walked. We walked to my house. And as we're going along, the crowd that really wanted to see him, the crowd that hates me, the crowd that hates me, we're walking along, and the people say, "He is gone to be the guest of a sinner." What? Well, isn't that the whole point? What are you people talking about? What do you think this Jesus is here for? You know, that's what really bothered people about Jesus. That's what I hear anyway. Jesus spends a lot of time with sinners and tax collectors, and it drives people crazy. You see, Jesus would open up the synagogue to everybody. What kind of church would that be? If all the sinners were welcome in the church. So Jesus comes in to my house and we sit down. People are standing at the door staring. So Jesus sits down and, we're talking. You see, when someone sits down at your table with you, it means a lot, especially in my day. What it meant when Jesus sat down at my table is that he accepted me. And suddenly I felt a little different. Because this man who some say is holy, in fact, that's one of the reasons I heard there's this plot to get him, because they say he's a blasphemer. He says he's God. Can you believe that? Of course, what if he is? And so I watched and I listened, and he asked me, tell me about your family. And Zacchaeus, how did you come to be a tax collector anyway? What's that like, taking more money from people than you're supposed to? So we sat and we talked, and I'll tell you what, after a little while, I felt like this Jesus really wanted to be my friend, not like the people out there. He wanted to be my friend. And that he accepted me. He didn't ask me to change. He never asked me to change. He just said, Zacchaeus, tell me about your life. What do you dream about? What do you want to do with your life? And I said to myself, Zacchaeus, this Jesus, he accepts you just as you are, just as I am. Jesus says, I want you. Boy, that felt like I was in a bath full of grace. And then I started to believe. Then I started to believe that, anybody who would accept me Just as I am when the people are out there saying, you shouldn't even be in the same house, much less at the same table with that man. When people say that, and he says, I love you, I'm starting to believe this stuff. I'm starting to believe that he is God. You know, I just went up in that tree because I was curious. I really wanted to just see what it was all about, except, well, I don't know, maybe it wasn't my decision to go up in the tree. You see, the thing is, Jesus loved me not because of, well, who I am. He loved me not because of what I am. He loved me because of my relationship to him. You know, he says, I'm a child of Abraham. I kind of forgot about that. Because the people at the synagogue, they didn't want me. It took another son of Abraham to remind me I'm a son of Abraham too. That I have the same father they do. Now look, Jesus isn't saying being a tax collector is a good thing. In fact, I know that. I know he's not approving of me. I know he's not approving of my conduct. He's not saying like, well, all you people, you ought to go rip off society too. But if a crook like me can be loved by Jesus, wow. What kind of church could that be? So Jesus gets up, because he's got to get moving on to Jerusalem, he tells me. Got other people to see, other things to do. And he's standing at the door, getting ready to leave. And he says,
Today salvation has come to this house, for the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost.
do you see that? I must stay at your house today. Right? Jesus says, Jesus must stay at your house today. Today, salvation has come to this house. Jesus is salvation. Jesus came to my house. And do you know salvation? Do you know about salvation? Do you know what I learned about salvation with Jesus sitting right there with me and when Jesus leaves? Is that salvation isn't something that happens like after I die. That's just the best part of it. Salvation is something that happens right here around this table with Jesus when he says, I'm your friend. Well, Jesus was standing there, and I felt that salvation. And so I said to Jesus, Jesus, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't know how else I can say thank you, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take half of all of my possessions, not just, the savings account that I don't really need. Half of everything I have, I'm going to give it to the poor, because you tell us to remember the poor. And then, out of the other half, if I cheated anybody, okay, I cheated some people. The people I cheated, I'm going to give them back what they wanted times 4. I know that's more than what Leviticus says I have to do. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give back times 4. Not because I want you to love me, but because you love me. Because I think that's how you say, I'm grateful. I don't think you do good stuff because you want Jesus to love you. I wanted to do this stuff because Jesus, out of all those people, said he loved me. Boy, Just think what your church could be like if you were like that. Just think the people that might be sitting here, if you went out looking up in trees for people who are sinners, and you accepted them just as they are, and trusted God to do the transforming work that the Holy Spirit alone can do. You're not going to change people, but the Holy Spirit can. I'm Exhibit A. So here's the thing. Sometimes I go up in this tree when I don't know what else to talk about, when I don't want to count any more money because, well, honestly, I don't have all that much money left. But that's okay. I was among the lost. But here's the thing about lost that I think people forget. I wasn't like doomed to hell. We called it Hades, Sheol. I wasn't doomed. I was just lost. And Jesus came to seek and to save the lost in general, but he came to Jericho to save me. I believe that. Jesus came through Jericho to find a wee little man like me up in a tree. You see, if the lost aren't meant to be found, then Jesus came on a false mission, right? If there's no one to be found, then why hunt for them? What do you call that? Snipe hunting? Right? That can't be right. It's not some game. The lost are really here to be found, like me. That's what Jesus is here for. That's what he says I'm making a church for. Not to just say we all want to be just us, but to go look in the treetops for Zacchaeuses. Because they can be found. They don't even know they're going to get found. They don't even know they want to be found. They're just curious. So I think sometimes when I'm up here in the tree, how thankful I am. And then I think I want to tell people, you know, Jesus wants to come to your house today. Yeah, there's going to be some obstacles. Sure. There's going to be some crowds that block your vision. You're going to have to find a way to see. Sometimes life is going to throw you all sorts of curveballs. And you're just going to have to find a way, being willing to rip that robe and muddy those sandals and climb up whatever that tree is. But you know what? Jesus is going to keep looking for you. Jesus wants to come. Jesus must come to your house today, just like he came to mine. So help him find you. Get out there and look for Jesus. If you have to. Go and climb a tree. Thanks for listening to my story.